Hi readers, Lee here. Welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. And today is book haul day. I've got a pretty big book haul, so you might want to settle in with a glass of wine while I talk about what I picked up. But first, I want to talk about my next nonfiction book. It was going to be Home Before Morning, the story of an army nurse in Vietnam by Lynda Van Devanter. But then I ended up buying, this is a separate haul, Healing Wounds, a Vietnam War combat nurse's 10-year fight to win women a place of honor in Washington, D.C. As an Army nurse, this is by, Diane Carlson Evans with Bob Welch. As an Army nurse in Vietnam in 1968 to 1969, Diane Carlson Evans learned to overcome seemingly impossible odds, including the night she and a corpsman kept soldiers alive in the darkness as artillery barraged their hospital. 14 years later, this mother of four felt called to establish the first memorial honoring military women on the National Mall. What followed was a 10-year battle to overcome prejudice and betrayal within her own ranks. Evans was labeled a feminazi, that's a term I haven't heard in a long time, and received death threats. Editorial writers opined that a women's memorial on the ground of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was like putting an Elvis statue on Mount Rushmore. But Evans persevered, and she made history in November of 1993. The Vietnam Women's Memorial was dedicated in a grove of trees just 300 feet from the Wall of Names, bringing honor, healing, and hope to the 265,000 otherwise forgotten women who served during the Vietnam War. So I'm thinking that this is going to be my next nonfiction book after I finish The Woman That They Could Not Silence. I want to read this. This was, I believe, the main source of Kristen Hanna's The Women, although she also referenced Home Before Morning. I'm just not sure when I'll get to that second one. I definitely want to go for Healing Wounds. So, my book call today. I have no idea how this happened. I think I just wanted to get out of the house, and I ordered 3 books online to pick up at the local Barnes & Noble, and I ended up buying 2 more while I was there. And I want to start with the first novel that I picked up in store that led to the second novel, and that is William Kent Krueger's Spirit Crossing, and this is a signed edition. I have another book of his that I will feature in a future book haul. I've got so many stacks of books, I could do like 5 book hauls probably. So in this one, after the teenager of a prominent Minnesota politician goes missing, a huge manhunt is launched to find her. But when Cork O'Connor's grandson, Wabu, stumbles across the shallow grave of a young Ojibwe woman while hunting blueberries, nobody seems to care. Nobody, that is, except Cork and the newly formed Iron Lake Ojibwe Tribal Police Department. As Cork and the tribal officers dig into the circumstances of her murder, they discover a link to the missing girl that suggests these are not isolated incidents, but evidence of something more sinister. Already, tensions in the small town of Aurora, Minnesota are high as residents gather to protest an oil pipeline that is being constructed through the pristine forests sacred to the Ojibwe at a place known as Spirit Crossing. In the meantime, little Wabu, who has a unique connection with the dead woman, has become a target for the killers, and Cork's daughter, Annie, has returned home with a secret that threatens to tear the family apart. The closer Cork gets to finding the answers he seeks, the more he fears for the people he loves. Signed copy, and I skimmed through the first page of chapter 1, and I was sold. And then I realized that this is like number 16 or something in a series. It's been a while since I read a mystery thriller series, and I kind of looking forward to maybe diving down into that. as soon as I finish my Booker project and my band project. So it'll probably be next month. So anyway, I walked around the corner to the mystery section, and I found what I hope is the first novel in the series. It was listed in here as the first one, and that is Fox Creek, also by Kent Krueger. That's a tongue twister. So, oh God, it says it's the best book in the series yet. What? If this is not the first, I'm going to have to go back tomorrow. I don't have my phone with me here at the desk, but I swear it's listed as number 1. Yeah, it's the top book in here. I'll look that up. Anywho, I guess if it's not the first book, I'll either have to go back tomorrow or order it online. Cork O'Connor, the retired sheriff of Aurora, Minnesota, is in a race against time to save the people he loves from ruthless mercenaries. Ancient Ojibwe healer Henry Malou had a vision of his own death. As he walks the north woods of Minnesota in solitude, he tries to prepare himself peacefully for the end of his long life. But peace is destined to elude him as hunters fill the woods seeking a woman named Dolores Morisseau, a stranger who had come to Henry for shelter and the gift of his wisdom. With deadly mercenaries in pursuit, Malou guides the stranger and his great niece, Cork O'Connor's wife, to safety deep inside the Boundary Waters, his home for more than a century. Back in Aurora, Cork works feverishly to identify the hunters and discover the reason behind their chase. In desperation, he begins tracking the killers through the woods, but his own skills are severely tested by nightfall and a late-season snowstorm. Cork knows only too well that with each passing hour, time is running out. But his fiercest enemy in this deadly game of cat and mouse may be his own self-doubt about his ability to save those he loves. I've really only recently heard of this author, but he's been writing for quite some time. Anywho, 2 books by the same author, and 2 more books by the same author, not this guy. These are 2 that I purchased online. The first is not... I'll start with the book that I first got, which I heard about over on the Lonesome Readers channel, and that is Mina's Matchbox, a novel by Yoko Ogawa. I bought this because I guess I just wanted something to buy, but I'm going to have to get my glasses out for this because the print is small and red. I'm not colorblind or anything, it's just harder to read. It doesn't show up well. In the spring of 1972, 12-year-old Tomoko leaves her mother behind in Tokyo and boards a train alone for Ashiya, a coastal town in Japan, to stay with her aunt's family. Tomoko's aunt is an enigma and an outlier in her working-class family, and her magnificent home and handsome foreign husband, the president of a soft drink company, are symbols of that status. The 17 rooms are filled with German-made furnishings. There are sprawling gardens, and even an old zoo where the family's pygmy hippopotamus resides. The family is just as beguiling as their mansion. Tomoko's dignified and devoted aunt, her German great-aunt, and her dashing, charming uncle, who confidently sits as the family's patriarch. At the center of the family is Tomoko's cousin, Mina, a precocious, asthmatic girl of 13 who draws Tomoko into an intoxicating world full of secret crushes and elaborate storytelling. There is, yes, a World War II connection in here, which is one of the reasons I picked it up. And I can't wait to read it, although it's probably going to be a minute. When I was looking at this book, The Memory Police, also by Yoko Ogawa, was recommended. And this is kind of going on with my theme lately of banned books and totalitarianism and that sort of thing. On an unnamed island, objects are disappearing. First hats, then ribbons, birds, roses. Most of the inhabitants are oblivious to these changes, while those few able to recall the lost objects live in fear of the draconian memory police, who are committed to ensuring that what has disappeared remains forgotten. When a young writer discovers that her editor is in danger, she concocts a plan to hide him beneath her floorboards, and together they cling to her writing as the last way of preserving the past. Powerful and provocative, The Memory Police is a stunning novel about the trauma of loss. Anywho, time for a sip of wine. Cheers. So the last novel is not a novel, it's a memoir. The last book that I picked up was, I don't think it was on sale. I think that's how I fooled myself into buying it. However, this is The Friday Afternoon Club by Griffin Dunne, and he is the son of Dominic Dunne, whose daughter and Griffin's sister was murdered by her boyfriend. So it says, at 8, Sean Connery saved him from drowning. At 13, desperate to hook up with Janis Joplin, he has attended his aunt, Joan Didion, and uncle, John Gregory Dunne's legendary LA launch party for Tom Wolfe's The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. At 16, he got kicked out of boarding school, ending his institutional education for good. In his early 20s, he shared an apartment in Manhattan's Hotel des Artistes with his best friend and soulmate, Carrie Fisher, while she was filming some sci-fi movie called Star Wars, and he was a struggling actor working as a popcorn concessionaire at Radio City Music Hall. A few years later, he produced and starred in the now iconic film After Hours, directed by Martin Scorsese. In the midst of it all, Griffin's 22-year-old sister, Dominique, a rising star in Hollywood, was brutally strangled to death by her ex-boyfriend, leading to one of the most infamous public trials of the 1980s. The outcome was a travesty of justice that marked the beginning of their father, Dominic Dunne's, career as a crime reporter for Vanity Fair and a victims' rights activist. I couldn't help myself. I had to buy this. This came out, I think, in June of this year, and I've got some Dominic Dunne books that I need to get to, but I just could not pass this one up. So, 3 books became 5 books, and now I've got to check out to see if this really is book number 1. So it could end up becoming 6 books or 7 books or whatever. It's not going to be all 15 of the series prior to the most recent one, but I definitely, I think I would enjoy reading a mystery thriller series peppered with other books, of course. So look forward to getting to that after I finish my Booker and Band project. Anywho, I think I've talked quite quickly through this. I'm not sure how long this one is, but anywho, that is my book haul. Have you read any of these? Have you read any of the Cork O'Connor series? If you know anything, about this, drop a note in the comments. If you've read any of these, please put a note down in the comments. That is it for this week. I will be back next week with my weekend books, which will have more Booker and Band books, and I'm not sure what the rest of next week will consist of. Anywho, that is it for me. Happy reading, happy book hauling.